He's my fiancé. We've been together for over 2 years now.
Well, Miss Dews, could you tell us a bit more about your relationship with Mr. Hobson?
Of course. We met by chance and we just connected. We got really close as friends. And then one thing led to another and we became a couple.
At any point during that relationship with Mr. Hobson, did you get a chance to meet his family?
Yeah, I did. In the summer of 2023, I met Shayla's family at dinner.
Who specifically did you meet?
I met Avery Bancroft, Taylor's father, and Shannon Shahid, Taylor's sibling. Different last names, different mothers.
And could you tell the members of the jury a bit more about that dinner?
Well, it went a little iffy, I'll tell you that. Not because of me and any part my mother raised me right, bless her heart, but because of this huge fight between Shannon and Avery. They were arguing the entire time.
Miss Dews, do you remember anything that they might have said?
Yeah, I remember Shannon leaving to go out the door after the fight. And she said, I don't know why I even bothered. Next time, spare the invite. The only event of yours I'll ever go to is your funeral. It sounded like it came out of one of those soap operas. I mean, it was crazy.
Now, Miss Dews, after that argument between the plaintiff and Mr. Bancroft, did you get a chance to see Mr. Bancroft in person again?
Yeah, I did. Nearly a year later, on this luxury train called the Mid-Riverina Express, also known as the MRE.
What days were you on that MRE?
Taylor and I were on the train from April 22nd to April 25th of last year.
I want to start by talking about that second day, April 23rd. Could you tell the members of the jury what you did then?
We went on these excursions, these things fancy trains have. It was pretty nice. And the excursion was going shopping in Honduras. So Taylor and I went to Honduras.
Well, while in that city called Honduras, did you end up buying anything?
No, I didn't end up getting anything. I thought about getting this potassium bottle, but Taylor told me we didn't need it. So we left the store, and then I changed my mind for a second, but when I went back to get it, it wasn't there. So someone must have bought it while Taylor and I left the store.
Now, earlier, Miss Dews, you mentioned that you saw Avery Bancroft on the Mid-Riverina Express. Did you get the chance to interact with him at all?
Yeah, I did. On the 24th, Avery invited Taylor and I to afternoon tea.
Well, did you end up going to that afternoon tea?
Yeah, of course. Taylor and I got there, and we were a little late to start though because Avery was finishing up a phone call with someone.
And while Mr. Bancroft was on that phone, do you remember hearing anything that he might have said?
Yeah, I did. Avery said, Shannon, this time, blood isn't thicker than water. I've sent you more money than you deserve. You won't see another cent from me. And then he hung up the phone and we sat for tea.
Objection, here's the statement of the member.
Response?
Yes, Your Honor. I'm not offering these statements, but the truth of the matter asserted that blood was thicker than water and that this person wouldn't receive another cent from Mr. Bancroft. Rather, we're offering for the non-truth purpose to show that Mr. Bancroft had some kind of conflict with someone named Shannon.
Response to that?
Yes, Your Honor. Defense has contended that whoever was involved, or if Shannon was involved with the murder of his father, then that means it was because of a lack of money, because their Bancroft stopped giving the money, and therefore this statement is going for the truth of the matter.
Any response to that?
Yes, Your Honor. We don't care if Mr. Bancroft wouldn't actually send another cent to this person named Shannon. That doesn't matter if it's true or not. All that matters is this person on the other line named Shannon heard that statement. Your Honor, it's being offered for the effect of the listener, not for its truth.
Your Honor, when I did respond, I have in a good faith basis that they will not be able to elicit any reaction from Shannon Shahid, and therefore this statement is being used for the truth of the matter.
Okay, so let's do this. I'm gonna overrule it for now, with the understanding you're doing it for the effect on listener subsequent action. If they don't show a subsequent action, feel free to reiterate.
Yes, Your Honor.
And Ms. Dews, did you get the chance to finish your answer?
Like I said, Shannon, this time blood isn't thicker than water. I've sent you more money than you deserve. You won't see another cent from me. And then Avery hung up and we sat for tea. It set the tone for that tea, I'll tell you that.
Susan, what happened after you left that team?
As I left Avery's cabin,
Objection. Everybody's my previous objection. No subsequent action was elicited, and therefore the previous statement was hearsay. And that is what court.
Any response?
Yes, Your Honor. Opposing counsel's argument goes to its weight, not its admissibility. Your Honor, it's the defense's contention that Shannon Sheep worked in tandem with Ashley Connell to kill Avery Bancroft. Your Honor, I expect this witness to testify that Avery Bancroft was dead, and also that Ashley Connell had several other actions following that phone call that Shannon Sheep made to Avery Bancroft.
This witness is gonna testify though?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so let's have that witness do that. She hasn't done it yet, and so I'm gonna sustain it because we have no subsequent action. You could relay the foundation and show me a subsequent action, and try to get it in.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, directly after that phone call that you overheard between Shannon Sheep and Avery Bancroft, what happened next?
well, after that phone call ended, Steve, I left Avery's cabin, and there was someone outside the cabin just standing there, like skulking around, and they were so surprised when I walked out that they nearly fell over.
And Miss Hughes, did you recognize who this person might have been?
Yeah. The person's name was Ashley Connell. She was another passenger on the train.
Had you heard the name Ashley Connell prior to your boarding of that train?
Yeah. Back during that infamous dinner with Taylor's family, Shannon mentioned being good friends with this renowned artist named Ashley Connell.
And going back to your time on that train, do you know what Miss Connell was doing outside of that door?
She was just holding some ripped up magazines. The whole interaction was strange. I had no clue what she was doing there.
Miss Hughes, you mentioned some ripped up magazines. Did you ever see any kind of ripped up magazines later on during that trip?
Yeah, I did. It was in the form of a note, though. It looked like the letters used in the note were ripped out of some magazines.
When specifically did you find that magazine?
Well, I saw the notes on the floor of Avery's cabin the morning that he passed away.
And Miss Hughes, would you recognize a copy of that note if I were to show it to you in court today?
Yeah, I would.
Your Honor, permission to approach opposing counsel for witness in turn will go to pre-entered as exhibit 37 per stipulation 6. Your Honor, I'll let Curtis Scott begin, please. Miss Hughes, what have I just handed you?
This is the note I saw on the floor of Avery's cabin the morning he passed away. See what I mean about the ripped up letters?
Miss Hughes, could you read aloud what these ripped up letters spell to the members of the jury?
It says, time to pay for your choices. Confess or burn! Exclamation point.
Thank you, Miss Hughes. I can take that from you. Now, I want to go back and talk about what else you might know about the plaintiff, Shannon Sheep. Are you aware of Avery Bancroft at any time of will?
Yeah, Avery had a will. I know because Taylor had a copy of the will along with the rest of his other files.
Permission to approach opposing counsel on the witness in turn, but it's already been entered as exhibit 6. It's the will of Victor Bancroft. I believe Your Honor already has it pretty
Yes.
Now, Miss Hughes, what have I just handed you?
This looks to be Avery's will from July 16th, 2015.
And looking at this will, what, if anything, does it mention about the plaintiff, Shannon Sheep?
It says here on the front page that if Avery passed away, Shannon would get only 5% of Avery's assets.
Your Honor, at this time, the defense intends to read the stipulation on the record. Your Honor, pursuant to stipulation 33, it should be on the bottom of page 3 of stipulation 7 of finding. Your Honor, pursuant to stipulation 33, if the plaintiff prevails in today's case and the defendant is found liable, Shannon Sheep will receive the entirety of Avery Bancroft's estate. Thank you, Ms. Hughes. Your Honor, I have no further questions.
Thank you.
Permission to retreat.
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Whenever you're ready.
Good afternoon, Ms. Hughes.
Good afternoon, Miss
Harder.
Baharda.
I want to talk about why you're here today. There's not only dating
Yeah, we don't know what our budget is gonna be yet for the wedding, and we have to rope in all of our family members.
Right. And you were aware of their Hobson's inheritance before Avery, correct?
Yeah, I've seen Avery's will a couple of times in Kayla's files.
And you're aware that if the defendant does not win today's case, they will not receive anything. Isn't that right?
Yeah, I guess that's how it works.
And just to be clear, you're not signing a financial agreement, correct?
No, Taylor and I are getting married. We're gonna share everything. That includes what we have with each other.
Right. You will share all of the Hobson's inheritance if that's the case, correct?
Yeah, and I'm gonna share my travel business with you too.
Right. And you were compelled to testify to that, correct?
No, I was not.
You want to, no?
No.
You're here completely voluntarily, isn't that right?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, now I want to talk about how you even got to the MOE. You were surprised that your Hobson was able to fund this entire trip, isn't that right?
Yeah, I was surprised, but he said it was covered, so I was all fine with it.
And you were surprised because a few months prior, Taylor said they couldn't afford any more trips, correct?
Yeah, apparently everything was figured out though.
And we can both agree that you wanted to fly with her, correct?
I wanted to fly, but Taylor wanted to take the train, and it sounded romantic, so I went along with it.
In fact, Taylor Hobson insisted on going on this train ride, isn't that right?
Yeah, he did.
And when you boarded, you found out that your father, Avery Bancroft, was also aboard, correct?
Yeah, he was. There were so many people from Midlands on there. It was crazy. In Australia too.
Right, then let's talk about what else you found on the European Express. In Taylor Hobson's files, you found Avery Bancroft's medical records.
Yeah, I think that was along with some other files. Taylor went to the doctor's visit with his father, most of the work.
Well, yes, this is just to be clear, you found Bancroft's medical records in Taylor Hobson's files, but he was aboard the European Express, correct?
Yeah, Taylor always has his important files with him.
Right, it's a very important file for Taylor Hobson, correct?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's his family.
And you recognize that medical record from you today?
Yeah, I think so.
Your Honor, permission to bring opposing counsel and the witness with license number 620.
Yep.
Permission to proceed.
Yep.
Now, this is your familiar with the exhibit, correct?
Yeah, idea.
And just to be clear, it says on the exhibit that Mr. Bancroft is in perfect condition but has a chronic business, correct?
Yeah, that's what it says.
And it also says that Taylor Hobson was present for the entire conversation, isn't that right?
Yeah, Taylor was.
A conversation in which his physician warned him the excessive potassium could be fatal, isn't that right?
Yeah, that looks like what the doctor was about.
Thank you, Mrs. Permission to retreat. Well, now I want to talk about the next day on the Mediterranean Express. The passengers had a choice between a museum and a shopping mall, correct?
Yeah.
And Ms. Lucy wanted to go to the museum.
I wanted to go to the museum, but Taylor suggested we go to Hamburg, so we went along to Hamburg.
Well, Taylor insisted on going shopping, isn't that right?
Yeah, he did. And he knows me too well.
And you both ended up in a store called Sheriff's Room, correct?
Yeah, it was a cute little store. That was the store where I was thinking about getting the potassium bottle, but when I went to buy it, it was gone.
Correct. And you would recognize that bottle of the given an extra?
Yeah, I would.
Permission for the disposal council and witness, or just for that? Now, this is the concentrated minute extract that both you and Taylor saw, correct?
Yeah, I was gonna get it. I need to work on my vitamins, but Taylor told me we didn't need it, so.
Right, but you headed back to the train at around 6:45 p.m.
Well, Taylor and I left the store together, and then I went back to the store. It was gone, and then I went to the train.
But just to be clear, Taylor Hobson stayed behind to grab a few things, isn't that right?
Yeah, after we left the store, I went to go back to the train, and Taylor stayed behind, continuing shopping.
Right. Taylor Hobson continued shopping. And just to be clear, you don't know what those few things were, correct?
No, I don't.
But when you went back to the store, all the potassium was sold out, isn't that right?
Well, no, that's not necessarily how it is. It's a little confusing going back and forth, but we were in the store, I saw the potassium, I wanted the potassium. We didn't end up getting it, so we left Taylor and I together. And then came back to the store, and it was gone after
clear, you were not present until you stayed behind to grab a few things, were you?
No, after I went to go back to the train, that man was out on his own. I thought he could handle it.
Right, and when you went back, there was no more dust, correct? Yes or no?
No.
Thank you. Now, Ms. Hughes, just a few more questions. I want to talk about the last 2 days on the Middle Green Express. The next day, the day that David James was caught. That day you walked up the streets, right?
Yeah. Even when I woke up to screams and Roy Sheldon banging on my door.
And you even found it bizarre that you were dead, too.
Yeah, it was bizarre. It was a lot to process that one.
And that was because just the night before, you know, Dixon perfect apartment, isn't that right?
Yeah, he did.
And yes or no, Ms. Hughes, isn't it true you saw Taylor Hobson sneaking out with tea, please, and a teacup out of Jacob's closet?
Yeah, he took it as a moment of his father.
Well, I'm not asking you to speculate, Ms. Hughes. You don't know why he took it, do you?
No, I don't.
But you did see Taylor Hobson taking out the tea leaves and the teacup out of his father's cabin, right?
Yeah, he did.
Right after he just passed away.
Yeah.
For clarity, he took those, even though his father had just passed. Isn't that right?
Well, he took it as a memento for his
Well, I'm not asking you to
father.
speculate, Ms. Hughes. You don't know if he took it from a do you?
Objection, Your Honor, ask answer.
No.
I'm a little.
Yes, Your Honor.
Fascinating.
You don't know if he took it from a do you?
I don't know for sure, no.
And isn't it true, Ms. Hughes, that you also saw Taylor Hobson wearing the same medallion that Ankles was wearing?
Yeah, I figured he got it on the 24th from Avery after they made up together.
Ms. Hughes, again, I'm not asking you to speculate. I'm asking you if the first time you saw Taylor Hobson with that medallion was on the 25th,
Yeah, it was on the 25th.
right after his father had just passed away, isn't that right?
Yeah.
No.
Any redirect?
Yes, Your Honor, briefly, Commissioner Retrieve for exhibit 1.
Yeah.
Ms. Hughes, one question. Did you ever see the defendant Taylor Hobson with this bottle?
No, I didn't. And I wanted to get it, but Taylor told me not to.
Thank you, Ms. Hughes. I have heard.
Any redirect?
No, you're right.
This witness, Ms. Hughes.
Huh?
This witness, Ms. Hughes.
Oh, yeah. Anyone want to speak to the defense?
Yes, Your Honor. The defense calls Alex Silva. Before we proceed, may we set up a demonstrative?
Yep.
May I proceed?
Yep, and just I don't know who's crossing, but if you need to move at any time, feel free.
Yes, Your Honor. Good afternoon. Could you please introduce yourselves to the members of the jury?
Good afternoon. My name is Alexis Silva. But most people just call me Alex.
Where are you from, Ms. Silva?
If you couldn't tell from the accent, I'm originally from Yorkshire. But I got tired of all those dreary US skies. I flew across the pond to go to uni in the States.
And what do you do for a living?
Currently, I'm the commissioner for the Department of Parks and Rec. My life's work has been a firefighter for 10 years before that. Now, I don't need to brag, but I will say that I was the first female firefighter in my entire life.
Ms. Silva, how are you involved in today's case?
I was a passenger on this luxury train ride, the Mid-Riverina Express. And I was also the president's event ambassador.
Could you tell us why you were on that train trip?
I was headed to Perth to start a firefighting program. As a woman, it was important for me to show those little girls out there. They should be do you said you might. Including being fight.
permission to approach opposing counsel with what has been previously marked as Exhibit 11. It's pre-admitted in case. Your Honor, permission to publish an enlarged version of this exhibit to aid the jury.
Any objections to a larger version?
Not at this time, Your Honor.
Okay, that changes let me know.
Now, Ms. Silva, could you explain to us the train's layout?
I can. As you can see, there's a storage area, a kitchen, a bar, and a dining room, where I have this Gordon Ramsay level before. I digress. There are two main sections of the cabins. The Platinum second, which is where I stayed, a lounge area, and then Platinum first.
Now, you mentioned that you stayed in Platinum second. Which cabin exactly were you in?
I stayed in cabin 5. That would be right there.
And could you tell the members of the jury which cabin Avery Bancroft was staying in?
Avery Bancroft was staying in the only king-size cabin on the train, so that would be cabin 1. Right.
Objection, Your Honor, lack of personal knowledge, or I guess foundation. This witness has not established how they know Avery Bancroft was staying in that cabin.
I'm gonna attempt to agree. Can you show the foundation how she knows that?
Your Honor, there's an exhibit that's pre-admitted for the jury. It contains all cabin assignments, so this witness would be able to.
Okay.
If you're.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, that's foundation. Thank you.
Now, Ms. Silva, could you tell us which passenger was right next to Avery Bancroft?
That would be cabin 2, which was Ashley Conn and her daughter Baker. Yes, right there.
Your Honor, permission to approach the witness to retrieve.
I'd ask that opposing counsel needs to allow for that, Your Honor.
Your Honor.
It's her direct, so she can
Yes.
put it down, but if you want to put it back up on your cross, it's
Yes.
below the book.
Now, Ms. Silva, I want to talk about one of those passengers you just mentioned, Ashley Connell. Did you know anything about Ashley Connell before you boarded that train?
No, not much. The only thing I saw about Ashley Connell was this complaint for a lawsuit that she was involved in online.
Would you recognize a copy of that complaint if I showed it to you in court today?
I would.
Permission to approach opposing counsel with what is already in evidence of Exhibit 23.
Yep, granted.
Now, Ms. Silva, could you tell us who's listed as the plaintiffs
Avery Bancroft.
and who's the defendant?
Avery Bancroft was suing Ashley Connell, along with 2 other people I don't know.
And if you could flip to the last page of this complaint, does it say how much Avery Bancroft was suing Ashley Connell for?
Avery Bancroft was suing Ashley Connell. $1 billion. One, that's all.
Permission to approach the witness. Now, Ms. Silva, did Mr. Bancroft mention Ashley Connell to you personally?
No. The only thing I saw about Ashley Connell from Avery Bancroft was this little paper I found in this room entitled Memoir by Mr. Bancroft.
Would you recognize a copy of that memoir if I showed it to you instead?
I would.
Permission to approach opposing counsel for witness with what has been previously marked as Exhibit 35.
Yep. Yes.
Do you recognize this?
I do. This is the paper I found in Mr. Bancroft's cabin.
Is this a fair and accurate representation of that paper that you saw?
It is.
Your Honor, at this time, the defense moves to enter Exhibit 35 into evidence pursuant to Stipulation 7. All hearsay objections have been waived.
Okay, so besides hearsay, any objection?
Yes, Your Honor, to authentication. The opposing counsel has not laid the foundation as to how this witness would know that this is Avery Bancroft's will or memoir. Although it says his name, Your Honor, anyone could have typed this book. Anyone could have typed this book. Anyone could have said that they were Avery Bancroft, and thus this cannot be authenticated in court today.
Any response?
Your Honor, if I could direct your attention to case law, it should be on page 4, the third case.
Yeah.
And that case is Filto v. Waynack. Under Filto v. Waynack, if the court is trying to decide whether or not a person made a specific statement, there's a standard that needs to be applied, and that standard is by a preponderance of evidence. As of now, we've laid sufficient foundation that this is the memoir of Avery Bancroft. It has his name in the title, and it was found in his cabin right next to his bed. And opposing counsel hasn't brought forth any contradicting evidence, so under Filto v. Waynack, we're allowed to determine for purposes of admissibility that this statement was made by Avery.
Your Honor, if I may.
Yeah.
Your Honor, just because they established the foundation that it has Avery Bancroft's name in it and is in Avery Bancroft's cabin, does not mean that it is more likely than not that Mr. Bancroft wrote this memoir. I have it on a good faith basis that everyone in the crew cabin had access to a master, meaning that anyone in that crew cabin could have accessed Mr. Bancroft's cabin and placed the memoir in there. Thus, it is not more likely than not, and thus this evidence is not admissible in court.
Right, so I'm gonna give that to weight and admissibility, so feel free to bring that up across, but for now I'm gonna overrule it.
Yes, sir. Ms. Silva, could you tell us what Mr. Bancroft says about Ashley Connell in that memoir?
Sure. Mr. Bancroft talks about a host of people who have wronged him in his life. One of them being Ashley Connell, part of the art royalty who treated him as an outcast. At the end of his memoir, he has a list of people that he plans to expose information, dump information. The first on the list being Ashley Connell.
Your Honor, I'd like to object to substantially more prejudicial and probative. We have no foundation to establish that this individual in this document is the Ashley Connell that the plaintiff is contending had an axe to grind with Mr. Bancroft, and thus is far more misleading to the jury than it is probative.
Your Honor, may I?
Yes.
Your Honor, if I could direct your attention to the document itself, it should be in, I believe, the 4th paragraph. The full name Ashley Connell is written. Therefore, this is a more prejudicial.
Your Honor, if I may.
No, I'm gonna overrule it, her full name's there, so we can take it, that we need to.
Now, Ms. Silva, did you know if anybody else saw this memoir?
No, no one. There is on the desk close to every cabin door, on the place sites, in a good step.
Permission to approach the witness. Ms. Silva, I want to move on and talk about April 25th. How did that memoir start?
That morning, April 25th, I looked to screams, and footsteps running down the corridor. I followed the screams to Mr. Bancroft's cabin, where Dr. Edmund was performing CPR on Mr. Bancroft. I also assisted Dr. Edmund in trying to save Mr. Bancroft's life.
Were you able to save Mr. Bancroft?
Unfortunately, Mr. Bancroft passed away.
Ms. Silva, that morning on April 25th, did you see Ashley Connell in Mr. Bancroft's room?
Come to think of it, nearly every passenger had come running in that morning, but I don't remember seeing Ashley Connell.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no further questions.
Any cross?
Yes, Your Honor.
And would you like the demonstrative backup?
Yes, Your Honor. May I have a moment of
Yeah,
Yes.
Your Honor, permission to move the piano.
May I begin?
Yep.
Now, Ms. Silva, I want to talk about some stuff that you talked about during direct examination. You mentioned that you were there in Perth, Australia to talk about firefighting, correct?
Yes,
But, Ms. Silva, you're not a firefighter, are you?
not anymore.
Right, because Ms. Silva, you retired altogether following the Black Bear Casino, correct?
I did.
And you, Ms. Silva, squarely blame Avery Bancroft for that Black Bear Casino fire, don't you?
I believe you might have had a comment.
Right, and you're here testifying today on Taylor Hoffman's behalf, are you not?
Yes.
You weren't subpoenaed?
No.
You weren't compelled?
No.
Yes, you're testifying completely voluntarily today, isn't that right?
Yes, testifying from what I saw.
Now, Ms. Silva, I want to talk to you a little bit more about an interaction you had with Taylor Hobson and Ms. Kelly Hughes on April 23rd. You had breakfast with them, did you not?
I did.
And during this interaction, Miss Kelly Hughes said it's going to be nice to have some family money, isn't it?
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay, the statements of Kelly.
Your Honor, if I may.
Yeah.
If I may proffer, Your Honor.
Yeah.
The defendant is, or the witness is going to elicit that Taylor Hobson elbowed Miss Kelly Hughes following the statement. We're not concerned about the truth value within the statement or the statement itself, but rather the subsequent action of Taylor Hobson.
Your Honor, may I?
Yeah.
In that case, we're amenable to a limiting instruction that the jury only takes this for the subsequent action and not the truth value.
Are you okay with that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Alright, so we're gonna overrule it with that limiting instruction.
Yes, sir.
So, following this statement, Mr. Hobson elbowed Miss Hughes. Isn't that correct?
He did.
Now, I want to talk to you more about another interaction you had with Mr. Taylor Hobson. You actually ran into Mr. Taylor Hobson quite literally, didn't you?
Yes, I believe the train was about to leave.
Yes, and when you were entering this train, you ran into him and he dropped a bag, isn't that correct?
Yes,
And it was labeled STC, correct?
I believe so.
And when he dropped these items, you saw a few things, didn't you?
Yes,
You saw sunscreen,
yes,
you saw sunglasses,
I did. It was right out there in Australia.
you saw tea, didn't you?
Yes,
But most importantly, you saw a concentrated banana extract in his backpack.
I did.
And you'd recognize that concentrated banana extract, wouldn't you?
I would.
But, permission to approach, the witness, Now, Miss Sylvia, is this the potassium you saw with Mr. Hobson?
Looks like it.
Let the record reflect that I'm adding saw Taylor with extract to the demonstrant. So, no further questions, Your Honor.
Can you redirect? Yeah.
Brief redirect.
Yep. Go ahead.
Ms. Silva, do you know what happened to that potassium bottle after you saw it?
No, no idea.
Thank you, Your Honor, I have no further questions. May this witness please speak?
Yeah. Is the defense ready?
Yes, Your Honor. The defense calls Rory Shelton to the stand. Good afternoon. Can you please introduce yourself to the members of the jury?
Yeah. Good night, Mike. No, I'm just kidding. My name is Roy Shelton.
Mr. Shelton, why are you in a costume?
Oh, this thing. I was actually running late. I was at the game, the Melbourne Marsupials and the Midlands Monkeys. That's right. All the fans, they wanted pictures and autographs, so I had to stay behind with the 8, So we just wanted to accommodate the fans, so it's just time to change. Sorry.
Mr. Shelton, how'd you get into the mascot business?
Honestly, I just needed work. And believe it or not, this isn't the weirdest thing I've ever done.
Well, were you mascotting back in April of 2024?
Yeah, actually, I got this big gig working in Australia. This great sports team hired me. They wanted to kind of rebrand. And I do remember, though, once after this big game, the team's bus actually ended up leaving without me. I mean, I genuinely don't know how a team forgets his kangaroo and his Joey. Crazy. But I do remember having to book these train tickets to catch up with the team, the Mid-Riverine Express. So I hopped on board to catch up with them.
When you got on board the Mid-Riverine Express, Did you recognize anyone?
Oh, I mean, yeah, for sure. I used to work at this amusement park, Rocker World. I was the Rocker Raptor. I actually noticed some of the guests would frequent that amusement park. Some of the guests would actually ask me to do their art. So that would be like Avery Bancroft, Taylor Hobson, Ashley Connell.
What about the plaintiff? Was there anyone on the train named Shannon Shahid?
No, there was no one on the train named Shannon Shahid, but I do remember seeing the name Shannon Shahid while I was on board. One of the passengers had actually been texting him.
Who was texting Shannon Shahid?
Ashley Connell.
How were you able to see the text between the plaintiff and Ashley Connell?
Okay, so the great thing about these fancy all-inclusive train rides is they provide daily excursions. I mean, these are great. Give you the chance to go shopping, sightseeing, all this great stuff. So I do remember Ashley and her daughter Bailey, they had asked me to take a picture of them. So Ashley handed me a phone.
What did you do with Ashley's phone?
As you can see, these things don't make touchscreen very easy. And they don't come on. So I remember just trying to open the camera app, but my hands were fumbling and it was kind of difficult. I accidentally opened up a text message thread between Ashley and Shannon.
Would you recognize that text message thread if I were to show it to you today?
I sure would.
Permission to approach opposing counsel and the witness with Exhibit 28.
Granted.
I believe Your Honor already has occurred.
Yes.
Mr. Shelton, what about his hand?
This looks like the text message thread that I saw.
Now, based on these text messages, what were the plaintiff and Ashley Connell talking about?
It honestly seemed like their conversation surrounded a lawsuit of some sort. And Shannon tells Ashley that she's consulted the spirits, spooky, and that there's another outcome. Bancroft gone, and the lawsuit gone.
Is that all they talk about?
Moment.
Take your time, Mr. Shelton.
Months before the train ride, they actually already started talking about it. Shannon says, the spirits say not to worry. They say everything will work out. Someone else will be acting on the spirits' behalf. Probably the best $7,500 I've ever spent. Enjoy the Mid-River Green Express.
Thank you, Mr. Shelton. I can take that back. Do you know how much a ticket on the Mid-River Green Express costs?
Not off the top of my head, even though I do know us kangaroos are supposed to have pretty good memory, but it's actually all laid out in this brochure on the screen.
Would you recognize that brochure if I showed it to you today?
Yeah.
Permission to approach opposing counsel and the witness with Exhibit 10.
Yeah.
This is pre-admitted.
Okay.
First copy. Also permission to republish to the jury an enlarged copy of Exhibit 11.
Yes, any objection to doing it?
No objection, Your Honor. May I just move myself?
Yeah.
Mr. Shelton, what have I just handed?
Looks like that brochure of the train.
Now, Mr. Shelton, based on this brochure, how much would a queen-size platinum cabin cost in April of 2020?
Sorry about that. The Platinum Queen would cost literally just $1 short of $7,500.
Thank you, Mr. Shelton. We'll take that from you. Now, Mr. Sheldon, was that the only time you knew the plaintiff and Ashley Connell were in communication with one another?
Actually, no. Ashley and Shannon were on the phone while me and Ashley were having lunch together.
How'd you know it was Shannon on the phone?
Well, Ashley kept referring to the person on the phone as Shannon, and also when I saw the text messages, I also saw a call log that was from Shannon, so it had confirmed that it was Shannon that had called Ashley earlier that day.
Could you hear what the plaintiff was saying when she called Ashley Connell?
Oh yeah, I mean, Shannon hopped right to it. She was on speakerphone. She goes, "Save the pleasantries, Connell. I'm checking in on that favor you owe me. If Bancroft is planning a change, I need you to take care of it."
Thank you, Mr. Sheldon.
Yes, sir. Yes, Chief.
Go ahead.
Good evening, Mr. Shelton.
Okay.
So you talked today about some statements that Ashley Connell said, but I actually want to talk to you about some things that you overheard Taylor Hobson saying. So you were on the excursion to Sherry's Stool and Crack, isn't that right?
Yeah, cute story.
And while you were in this store, you overheard Kelly asking Taylor Hobson, potassium or calcium, isn't that right?
I did hear Kelly ask that, yeah.
And Taylor Hobson said definitely potassium, correct?
I heard that, yeah.
Then, on the welcome dinner, you overheard Taylor Hobson saying Shannon didn't deserve a piece of the company to Avery Bancroft, isn't that right?
Yeah, at the welcome dinner, that is what she said.
And then, on the night before Avery Bancroft's death, on the 24th, you overheard an argument between Avery Bancroft and Taylor Hobson, isn't that right?
I did, yeah, we actually argued quite a bit.
Right, and Avery Bancroft said, "It's my money to burn," isn't that right?
Yeah, which was my money to burn.
And Taylor Hobson responded, "For now," correct?
Yeah.
Then Avery Bancroft called Taylor Hobson an ungrateful brat, isn't that right?
Yeah.
You ran into Taylor Hobson after this argument outside of the room, correct?
Yeah,
And you asked her what's wrong.
I did, us kangaroos were kind of nice and cuddly, we just want to be there,
Right, and Taylor Hobson said, "My father."
All of our fathers, right?
Now, Mr. Shelton, I want to talk about something that you found on the Meridian Express. You found a torn up document in the trash can, isn't that right?
Yeah, I did actually.
And you actually pieced this document together, correct?
I did, yeah. With this thumb. Yeah.
Nice, Mr. Shelton. Now, Taylor Hobson actually called you months prior to ask you about that document, right?
I think so, yeah.
She said, "Did you find anything in Avery Bancroft's cabin that showed he was revising his will," correct?
Yeah, I think that's what the conversation sounded like.
Thank you. No further questions, Your Honor.
Can you redirect?
No, Your Honor, I just asked the witness the 11th step.
Thank you.
Your Honor.
And at this time, Your Honor, the defense rests in the case in chief.
Let me time to prepare you.
We have 44 minutes until